Hey, it is the Fantasy NBA today. The opponents on the power play right now, we're shorthanded, very ably suited with Mark Camero, our Dynasty Lead here at SportsEthos, NBA Dynasty Lead. Hall of Famer Steve Alexander is supposed to be here. He was supposed to be here 23 minutes ago when this show was supposed to start. So he's rolling in late. We hope everything's okay. We presume he's just sleeping. And so, Mark, we'll get into, we set over-unders on when Doc is going to fall in. But first of all, sir, hello. It's great to be on the, we've been hanging out and talking for 20 minutes, man. Let's bring this ish to the air.
Yeah, how you doing, Kamla? I mean, we got Summer League technically started up over last weekend, if you want to count the California and Utah Classics, but really kicked off last night. Some interesting things. I think Summer League tends to be more pomp and circumstance and substance, but there's still some takeaways that we can have from it, which it's pretty much the theme of today's episode.
It is. We're going to dive into these rookies, talk about the Dynasty impact, talk about Summer League, and we're going to talk about it all. At some point, we presume, and we have all placed our wagers. The over/under on Doc is 11:45. Right now, it's 11:24. I went under. Mark and Andre went over. Okay, on Doc. So 11:45 is the number here, and we're kind of targeting that. So we can bust his balls when he drops in here. Want to shout out a great sponsor, BetOnline.com. BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season in full swing, football season's right around the corner. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting. From MLB to UFC, tennis, NFL futures, much, much more. BetOnline remains your choice for sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and a live casino. Also, head to the website, betonline.com today. Take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program, level-up bonuses, and weekly cash boosts. BetOnline, the game starts here. Little word of the wise, if you're watching us on Twitter, that's awesome. We appreciate that, but we don't put every offseason episode out here. Make sure you subscribe to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast feed, YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple, Fantasy NBA Today podcast feed. Subscribe to it, and then we promise you will not miss any episodes. As you said, Mark, the theme of this episode, Summer League smoke versus fantasy fire, okay? So let's get into this, man. First of all, we got to talk a little bit about some news here, Mark, that's come out. We were last on the air on Wednesday. There's been a little bit of stuff, not super splashy, like OKC's throwing money around like crazy right now, right? J-Dub, 5 years, max rookie extension, worth up to 287. I think the actual number is 239, with the All-NBA triggers taking it up to 290. I like his chances, frankly, to make All-NBA. Again, Herb Jones gets 3 years and $68 million. I think this is noteworthy because 3 years and $68 million is 20 plus north. Okay, that means he's starting, regardless of Zion, Murphy, and DeJounte. So somebody, they're not benching that. Okay, and so that's a question mark when New Orleans is healthy. Mark, is Herb a bench player or a starter? I think this piece of news right here cleared that up. So chew on these two signings or extensions and let me know how you feel this impacts fantasy.
Yeah, we'll start with Herb Jones, and I'm with you on that. I mean, and this will kick in 2 seasons where, the money's going to be higher. That might end up being lower at the starter money. It is still starter money. And even if Herb Jones isn't the nominal starter, it still signifies the Pelicans' faith in him to give him this extension 2 years ahead of time. I believe it was the max possible extension he could have signed. So, you might see a phrase as max extension. It's not the hoopla max, but it's still the max possible he could have gotten, and does cement him as kind of part of this core. However long this core is together in New Orleans there, that's a separate question. But it does mean that he's going to see at least starter level minutes, see plenty of run, and I would presume healthy from the shoulder injury he suffered during last season. For Jalen Williams, as you said, good chance at those All-NBA marks. He made third team All-NBA last season. Kind of sucks for him that you have to do it in your fourth year, but that's how it's currently written. Maybe that's something they fix in the future CBA. But he got the guaranteed 25% max for those 5 seasons. Can go up to 30%. So, we already knew he was part of the core. We saw what he could do in the playoffs with some really fantastic games. And it came out after the fact he was doing that with a wrist injury, taping it up, taking shots before the game to deal with the pain, which is insane. Makes the run even more impressive. So he is locked and loaded pretty much right on the fringes of top 10 dynasty rankings, if not inside the top 10. That's how good he's been and how good he's shown he can be.
I love it. Mark Camero dropping knowledge already. We knew he would. Some other news here. I mean, I laughed at this. I'll give you both of these, so we can kind of just accelerate it a little bit. I saw that Tristan Vukcevic was firmed up on a two-way. Kind of messed around with him a little bit at the end of last year. Marvin Bagley III is back in the NBA. We were joking earlier this offseason, Mark. I'm like, I literally can't remember the team that he ended last season with. Was it Detroit? Was it Memphis? Like, I'm in the soup here. I just don't know. Was it freaking Charlotte? I have no idea here, okay? And none of that matters anymore. He's back with the Washington Wizards, okay, on a one-year deal. So him and Vukcevic are going to battle for the third-string center spot on the Wizards roster, unless we think one of them is going to leapfrog Richaun Holmes, and that's not how I have my depth chart figured out. And then I really laughed at this one, Mark, and we don't have to spend much time on this. You can take it where you want to go. Brandon Ingram has been cleared to begin activities, and it's July 11th. Still has not played a game with the Toronto Raptors. Chew on those two pieces of news.
But he's cleared to play, so he could play today if they were playing games. Potentially.
No, because Mark, now the ramp up starts.
Yes, the dreaded ramp up.
Dude, and I'm joking with you. You know all of this procedural stuff. He's only been cleared for basketball activities. We got a ramp up now. So is it a year-long ramp up, Mark? Like, I'm telling you, do you think Brandon Ingram's going to start this season on time?
I don't want to. I plead the fifth. I don't want to answer that question exactly.
Like he should, but you're not ready. You can't do that. You can't.
I don't want to commit. Yeah.
Jump in that pool, do you?
Nope. No, I do not.
Man. I love it. I don't want to jump in that pool. He should be right. I mean, my God, it's October 20th-ish is when they start the season. It's it's July 11th. And we can't sit here and guarantee you right now that Brandon Ingram's going to start the season on time. He's the biggest wuss in NBA history. I've been saying that for years, and I'll continue to say it. Mark, before we dive into all this stuff, we gotta talk about Flagg and Bronny here real quick. All right, Cooper Flagg was he said after the game, by my standards, that was garbage. Blah blah blah. It wasn't a good game. 5 of 21, 10.6 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Give everybody an idea of the goody guy that he is. He was a 1-1-1 guy, 1.4, 1.4, 1.4, actually last year at Duke. And then Bronny stunk last night. 8-2-2, no defense, 2 of 8 overall, 1 of 6 on threes in 21 minutes. I got a stat for you. Bronny James was the only Lakers starter last night in the minus. So not a good game for Bronny. Sink your teeth into those two things.
Well, we have to start with Bronny James Jr., of course. He's the more notable player. To his credit, I thought his defense was stout and did a good job of holding its ground. That doesn't really mean always a lot for fantasy, except for minutes and minutes played. And the rest of his game has been pretty lackluster over Summer League. In the California Classic, when we saw him hold his ground well, play some stout defense, but inconsistent shot, didn't really add much off the dribble, wasn't really driving much offensively. So, I mean, maybe he works his way as just a kind of energy dude off the bench for 5-10 minutes. That's kind of where his destiny looks like. With Cooper Flagg, yes, he did not have a good game shooting the ball, but that also wasn't his strength. That was really the one, and I would say nitpick negative on his game was that his self-created dribble wasn't the most dynamic, wasn't necessarily the best space-getting tool in his arsenal that we've seen if you look at his NBA skill sets. And if they're going to, it seemed like the Mavericks were just force-feeding him isolations, getting him used to that idea, which is very common in Summer League to try to see what other skills players have. And that's like one of the few things you can take away from Summer League. And it's clear that Flagg still probably needs some work on his handle to really elevate into like not just role player superstardom, but like full on top 5 in the league upside. And he definitely still has top 5 upside in the league, but it's still reinforcing the idea that it might be more of this well-rounded player who does everything extremely well rather than does probably the one most important thing, which is scoring in the league extremely well. That may never come to fruition. And again, this is one summer league game. I don't want to draw any huge conclusion and say Cooper Flagg will never be a top 5 scoring option. But he also didn't project to be that coming into the draft anyways. And I think this is just a re-emphasis of that fact. That may be the one small flaw in his game.
Very good points, man. Enjoy it. How many more games do we get from Cooper Flagg? One,
two, I think. Yeah.
Right? They're not going to, everybody's living in fear. We're so afraid of injuries. I mean, you got Jaren Jackson Jr. blowing a tire in a pickup run. What do you think these guys do all summer? They fucking play basketball all summer. Like what? It totally bothers me. It's so horrible for NBA business. It's so gigantically horrible. People go out to the Vegas Summer League right now. Like they fly from all over and they fly, and it's a huge, huge deal. It's kind of fraudulent to me at this point. A few years ago, it wasn't. Like guys played. They were actually trying to win the Summer League championship. Nobody cares about that now, except G League guys and coaching staffs. And they've ruined the Summer League. They've literally ruined the Summer League. The Zion bull crap, pulling him out and all this kind of stuff. Paolo Banchero played like a game and a half, right? I mean, everybody's going, bloop, it's the summertime. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to the pool. Let's go to the park, right? People aren't sitting inside at 3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon watching third-string NBA players play, all right? But they might if you had Flagg in that game. All right, soapbox exited. But it's the Summer League's near and dear to my heart. I've been, doing play-by-play, not anymore, but, going all the way back to like 04, 05, going out to Vegas. Back before people were, what's the Las Vegas Summer League? What the hell is that, right? Now everybody knows what it is and what it's become. It's cannibalized itself, and it's ugly, and I blame these wussified performance teams on all these NBA teams. It's Rick Kamla. It's Mark Camero, our NBA Dynasty Lead here at SportsEthos. All right, Summer League performance versus fantasy reality, okay? Let me give you some examples here, Mark. Jakučionis for Miami has been awful in the Summer League. Dalton Knecht got off to a poor start, then had a good game, played well again last night. And so talk to me about those guys, maybe anywhere else you want to go with this, about what you're doing at the Summer League and the translation to reality in the NBA.
I think Kasparas Jakučionis and Dalton Knecht have been two good examples of what we should try to look for in Summer League from these younger players and prospects that we want to emerge, and what we maybe should not care so much about. With Dalton Knecht, he's a second-year player, was already an older rookie, and so he should be kind of dominating at this point. And if he's not dominating, then you have to have questions about where he's going in the NBA and the rotation. I think his spot-up shooting has been fine. That's looked good. That looks consistent. The shot looks clean coming off. His driving game looks like a mess. Straight line drives are fine, but he's not getting the burst to really get clean looks at the rim. Whenever he tries a dribble move, he's still getting bodied, not really getting anywhere. He's just not generating clean, efficient offense, let alone not really adding anything on defense. And you would expect second-year player at his age to really start asserting himself and put up, 20-plus points with solid free throws, getting to the line, and a good field goal percentage from the field, and that just hasn't been there. And I was never the biggest Dalton Knecht fan. Thought he could add that complimentary off-ball shooting, but not be as good on ball as we saw in college, and that's been the case. I remember I sent out last year in the socials that Dalton Knecht 2 months into the season would be the biggest buy high, and of course, 1 to 2 months, Lakers fans are like, how did we get this guy so late? Steal. Everyone else didn't know what they're doing, and then he faded away. Couldn't even break into the rotation in the playoffs when the Lakers played their starting lineup the whole second half. A pretty big vote of no confidence for the players on your team there. And then when you talk about Kasparas Jakučionis, yes, the pressure's getting to him a little bit. His ball security and handle looks a little flappable, which is not something you love to see. But with first-year players and rookies adjusting to the physicality, that's where I'm a bit more lenient with those results. And especially with the shooting percentages, I mean, he hasn't been able to hit the broad side of a barn. But it's 15 shots? Yeah, players are going to miss shots. My Houston Rockets missed 27 straight three-pointers. stuff happens. And the shooting sample, I don't care as much about. I like how Jakučionis is at least taking these confidently. He's taking them in stride, whether in catch and shoot off ball moments or off the dribble. So at least he's getting to those shots and taking them, I think, when he should take them. Now, I can quibble about Jakučionis not being able to drive to the rim all too well, turning down chances to attack the basket. That is some of the continued worrying points we had with him. But you still see enough passing flashes. You still see enough vision where he seems to know how to play. He's just having some maybe athletic limitations. But most of those we already knew were some of his flaws coming into this cycle anyways. There shouldn't be anything new. And really, I describe Summer League as you are adding footnotes to your scouting notebook. You should not be adding any new lines in your scouting notebook. And if you are, I think you're indexing too hard on Summer League. So, yes, am I loving this Kasparas Jakučionis Summer League performance? No, I can't say that. Am I drastically changing anything from it? Also, no. Is that how you treat the Summer League performances as well, or do you maybe put a little bit more stock into it?
No, I mean, I'm buying what you're selling here. I mean, you remember when Trae Young was at the Utah Summer League, he sucked. He was turning the ball over, couldn't make a shot. I was doing local radio in Atlanta at the time on the home of the Hawks, okay? And we got people calling, what the F are the Hawks doing, man? Trae Young, he's a bust. I'm like, are you guys out of your mind? Like, for real. Like, put whatever you're drinking down, okay? Please, and walk away. You guys, and like, again, so I've been doing the Summer League card for 20 years on the table, because I've seen guys come in and struggle and then be a rock star in the NBA. I've seen guys come in and be incredible in the Summer League and never, ever break through in the NBA, okay, and everything in between. So for me, Mark, and it's a great question, what I'm looking for is it factor, how you carry yourself, okay? You're in the middle of a 5 of 21 like Flag last night. Are you dropping your head? Are you getting all down on yourself? Like, I want to see that shit, right? How are you handling this? But you're looking at it more technically than me, and I love that, right? You're really breaking down the fine points of basketball and fundamentals. I think that's awesome. I'm looking at it more generally, more eye testy, more gut testy. I'm not worried about a guy turning the rock over 7 times in the Summer League game. I'm not. Because, Mark, you know this. The teams are putting them up to bat to take chances, to explore, to stub their toe, make mistakes. It's okay. Why do they allow you to make 20 fouls in a game? Okay? And it's 10, right? But why do they allow you to make 10 fouls? Because they're saying, go out there and find your game, dude. Go out and try to block some shots. You're going to make some fouls, okay? But what we're not going to do is disqualify you. So it's like quarterbacks in the preseason in the NFL, Mark. What do? They take chances, okay? So sometimes in practice, you'll have a 3-pick practice, and it goes viral. 2 or 3 interceptions at Miami Dolphins scrimmage today. He's taking chances, dude. Like, he's working on his game. And so that's where I'm at with it. You can't get too high. You can't get too low. But there is stuff to glean, as Mark's been talking about, as I'm talking about here. And, you know, the it factor thing, I want to see if you can sink or swim, Mark. Okay, like Kasparas Jakučionis right now is sinking. Okay, I'm throwing him a PFD. I'm not letting him die out in that water. But okay, and if he doesn't like spike up and it's just like a flat line of like, dude, you sucked at Summer League. Okay, now that's a question he's got to overcome in vet camp. And so you carry that with you. You don't brand the guy, you're a bust and all that, but you put it in the back of your head. All right, Jakučionis sucked at Summer League, like never got it right. Okay, so you just take that forward with you. Or if a guy just huge game after huge game after huge game, you're like, I can't wait to watch this guy and see if it's real. I got a question for you. Who looks too good to be here, in your opinion? Like, outside of the rookies, I'm going to say, like a second-year guy, maybe even a third-year guy, who looks too good to be here? It's probably going to get a quick hook and exit from the Summer League.
I mean, you have to look at Ajay Mitchell out of OKC. I think just putting up steady, poised performances. And, I liked how you kind of just said it simply. You look for the it. Does the guy have it? And, yeah, Mitchell's stats haven't necessarily popped, maybe counting stats-wise, not efficiency. But he just looks poised, looks like he knows what he's doing, constantly getting in the paint, constantly threatening defenses. He's carrying himself well, and he looks to have it at Summer League. Now, maybe that's a more muted role in the NBA, but still, he looks plenty capable. I'd also go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah. Also have something on, I kind of seen that with Isaiah Collier too. I'll admit to some bias with him. I was super high on him last draft cycle. I think that's mostly been vindicated with just the level of passing and his physicality, albeit plenty of shooting warts, plenty of turnover issues. But the way he is processing what's going on in the court, getting into the paint and threatening defenses and setting up teammates looks extremely polished and just looks to be carrying himself better and just, can I say, be gooder than the other players on the court. And I liked what I've seen from him, at least. I am encouraged from what I've seen. From a more passing standpoint, the warts, let's hope the shooting comes around in the regular season for him.
My answer to this question is Terrence Shannon Jr. I believe, and look, there was a money crunch for the Timberwolves. It's not like they were, we don't really need NAW. That wasn't the mindset. But, okay, so you pay Naj, you pay Randall. You didn't have money to pay NAW, especially 62 over 4 or whatever it was. I mean, 15 plus per year. They didn't have that cash. But what made them feel better about that was team-friendly deals on Randall and Reed, in my opinion. And you have Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. And Shannon Jr. had moments in the playoffs last year, had a 15-point game in the West Finals against OKC. And so his first summer league game, 20 points, 6 boards, 9 assists, 2 steals, 2 threes. Wolves, get him out of the fight. You do not need to see any more. Now, I will say this. If the Timberwolves decide to go for it with Dillingham, Clark, Jean Berenguer, who had 7 blocks in his summer league debut, they may win the summer league championship. And I'm here if they want to play these guys because, again, I want to see them play. And guys can get hurt at any time. They can get hurt getting out of the shower, walking up a flight of damn stairs. Okay, so that whole get them. But we know the reality of the NBA, and I thought it was Jean. It's Johan Berenguer. All right, I give up. I'll work. I mean, I had it right, I thought, and I don't have it right now. So, but I'm kind of over it also. So, but I do like him. And I got him as the backup center for the Wolves right now. But to answer that question, who looks too good to be here? To me, Terrence Shannon Jr. All right, real life buzz versus fantasy value. Mark Camero, our NBA Dynasty lead here at SportsEthos. Players who have real life hype but limited roles as we perceive it right now. So I give you Carter Bryant. I give you Cedric Coward. Talk to me about those two guys.
Yeah, I think both had similar rises later in the draft process as teams viewed them and scouted them and said, these are guys that you can see fitting into a championship winning rotation, providing complementary skills. Normally a lot of the counting stats scorers get all the buzz during the draft cycle, and I think rightfully so. And then as you get later, you start thinking, well, actually, do we want a Jordan Poole? Do we want a Cam Thomas on our team? Can we really win with those types of guys? No, you need your Alex Caruso types, you need your defensive types, those guys who can provide value without the ball in their hands. And I think, Cedric Coward showed that with his shooting, some defensive flashes throughout his limited college season last year. And Carter Bryant, similarly in his smaller stints at Arizona, coming off the bench, showed, I think, really tantalizing on-ball defense, some good steal block rates, some good complementary shooting with a smaller sample size, and it's an ability to fit within the offensive scheme and structure. My issue with those players, though, and more from a fantasy standpoint, is that that's not the best fantasy translations. You're already starting off with the ball not as much in your hands, most likely. I mean, there's always a chance that Bryant or Coward could really burst forth and develop skills that, develop these on-ball skills and just increase their playmaking, the classic Kawhi Leonard development arc. I adhere to the theory that a lot of times prospects won't normally develop skills that are outside skills that they haven't shown yet. And Bryant and Coward haven't really shown an ability to put the ball on the floor and beat a man or get a bucket, basically. I mean, Bryant has been good in summer league defensively, I think. Good at getting a good volume of shots up. He is not looking to even explore that studio space and turn the ball over. He's just saying, oh, I don't really have anything, I'm going to pass it away, which is fine, but it's not encouraging from fantasy. You're not going to get that usage up. You're not going to get those shots up. You're not going to build up your chances for assist. And we'll see what Cedric Coward does in Summer League, but he hasn't played yet, but he'll probably do a little bit more off the dribble, but I'm not expecting his role in the NBA to be vastly different than a 3-and-D guy contributing there and maybe contributing some blocks and steals, but ultimately not being hugely impactful. I liked both picks. I think Bryant is actually an excellent fit on the Spurs. I just don't necessarily see the upside from a fantasy perspective with either of these players.
I don't either, but I like both players. I liked everything you said right there. You're drafting a jock, basically, and a raw piece of coal, and you're going to try to turn him into something. I mean, these guys do bring more than that to the table, but they're not top of the draft talents. They're not. They're first round picks and good talents. I'm big on obviously, depth charts and where do you slot? Okay, so everybody's excited about Carter Bryant, and rightly so. 14th overall pick. I got him third string right now, Mark. At the 2 guard, I've got Castle, Keldon, and Carter Bryant. 3, I've got Vassell, Dylan Harper, Champagnie. 4, I've got Barnes, Sohan, and Ingram. So like, where's the playing time here? I mean, I don't. Do they trade Keldon Johnson? Julian Champagnie, who's a terrific player, who I like a lot, is a third string guy. I don't have him in the rotation right now. He's a veteran in this league. He's going to bring more to the NBA hardwood this year than Carter Bryant will. And so I don't see Carter Bryant leapfrogging him. So I just don't see a pathway to playing time here for Carter Bryant. I'm not saying, in a dynasty league, I operate the Cam Dynasty. I'm the commissioner of this league. Someone's going to draft Carter Bryant. They're going to stash Carter Bryant, and they're going to lose, okay? Because Carter Bryant's not going to give him anything. And so you're carrying a dead man, basically, and who's giving you empty stats. If you, on a random Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, light games, cool, I'll put him in my lineup. He's not going to play. You're going to get zeros, okay? So, I mean, take him, stash him. Just know that like, you can't win in Dynasty that way. You've got to find the sweet spot of, okay, like, he's a stash / a deep roster guy who's going to play and give me some minutes. I mean, at least 18 minutes a game. I don't see that for Carter Bryant. Now, for Coward, I do, because I've got him as a backup on Memphis right now. And I don't think he's going to crack the starting lineup of Aldama, Jackson, Jalen Wells, KCP, and Morant. I don't think he's going to crack that. Second unit, Clark, Gigi Jackson, Cedric Coward, Scottie Pippen Jr., and Ty Jerome. Frankly, that's a pretty deep and interesting team. I see Coward as 15 to 18 minutes off the bench, and in redraft, completely off the radar. In Dynasty, he's a guy that, okay, so we're still waiting on Steve Alexander. But in Dynasty, I do like him. Just know, if you're building with a bunch of Carter Bryants and Cedric Cowards, I got Asa Newell, and I got Noah Essengate, and you're not going to win a damn thing. Okay, so just know that you got to balance out playing, unless you want to tank for whoever the number 1 pick in the 2026 draft will be. Then load up on these guys, and that'd be a perfect tanking equation. But again, you're just giving money away, and you're never ever going to be good with that model. Khaman Maluach is a guy I love, Mark, but I've got him third string on the Suns roster behind Mark Williams and Nick Richards, who had his option picked up. So talk to me about this premise here of real-life buzz, which there is on Maluach, and rightly so, versus actual fantasy value for the Suns, as I see it, third-string center.
I do think Khaman Maluach will get his run. Mark Williams will be the starter there. I think Maluach will, see minutes over Nick Richards, just because we know what Nick Richards is. The Suns obviously invested pick 10 in Maluach, which is still in that range where that's still a pretty sizable investment. And I think they want to almost copycat what the Mavericks did with Derek Lively and Gafford, where, okay, you have both these centers who can give you good energy and lob threats and good minutes and good energy per minute. And then when they get tired, you just kind of rotate them in and out. But the problem with Maluach for me in Dynasty is that a lot of people will say he has this untapped upside. His free throw percentage was good. He shoots threes in practice. He did well in the shooting drills, and he's still raw. Only been playing basketball for a few seasons. I mean, great story for him to make it to this point. And I think I continue to have what I think will be a productive NBA career. But I think projecting him to shoot threes, projecting him to add stuff not off the dribble even, but just off the short roll doing things, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves there. I think I appreciate his defensive mobility, how he can move his feet at his size on the defensive perimeter. But some of his rim metrics were good, not fantastic compared to players like Donovan Clingan in college or Walker Kessler in college in terms of rim protection and block rates. I think the blocks will be solid, not fantastic. You'll get good rebounds, good field goal percentage. But if he's not really creating much on his own, the field goal percentage is a little bit muted. I think it's too much of a stretch to say he's going to add something in threes. I don't think he's going to get to that level. His usage doesn't really bode well for someone who's going to add passing and assist. You're mainly talking about your very in a box big who's just giving you blocks, rebounds, and then field goal percentage help in the sense that he's not hurting you, but maybe not enough volume to actually significantly impact it. And that's only 3 categories, and 3 categories that tend to be a little not less rare. I think blocks and boards can be rare, but ones that you can target a little heavier and are a little bit more prevalent across dynasty leagues. And that means Maluach isn't a rookie I'm as high on because of that. I think he will get a lot of hype because of his background and his story and people saying that he's raw and young. But I don't think he's necessarily shown the skills that really portend high-end fantasy success.
Mark, it is Rick Kamla, it is Mark Camero, our NBA Dynasty Lead at SportsEthos. We were awaiting Steve Alexander, the Hall of Famer. I presume he's Rip Van Winkling right now. So I said 11:42. I was wrong. I lose. It is 11:55. Andre now has lost. He said 11:54. Mark said 11:58. We still have 3 minutes for that to come to fruition. And I guess if Doc goes beyond 11:58, Mark, you're the winner because you had the latest time. So that's kind of where we're at with the where the hell is Doc. Andre says wrong, and he is the ultimate judge. So I will let him determine the winner here. Since we're on this topic, okay, and we can't have this episode without talking about this human being. So let's talk about him right here. Players who have real life hype but fantasy limited roles. Dylan Harper, I would say, fits that description pretty dang well. So how are you processing him, Mark? I've got him second string, right, on San Antonio. They just insist on starting Harrison Barnes, which I think is nuts. I would start Dylan Harper and bring Barnes off the bench at the 3. That's what I would do. And I'm not one of these guys that's always trying to boot the vet out for the young guy like our guy Steve Alexander. He literally hates veteran players in the NBA. Always wants the young guys to play. I'm not that guy. I'm balanced. I just want what makes sense for the team. And Harrison Barnes is the most average fucking player in the NBA. He's so average. Like, play Harper. How is Barnes helping the Spurs win? I don't see it. He's not playing plus defense. He makes corner threes. Woo! He makes some corner threes. Just about every damn player in the league makes corner threes, okay? It's the easiest shot from the perimeter in the NBA. So I just don't see it. But it is what it is. They're probably going to start Barnes. Harper will probably be off the bench. So how do you process that?
I mean, for the short term, obviously, Harper has some roadblocks ahead of him in terms of production. If you're looking for that straight year 1 production, I differ from the Spurs a lot on their evaluation of their players. I have spoken constantly that I'm not the biggest Stephon Castle fan, but he's going to get minutes over Harper for sure. You obviously got De'Aaron Fox there, and those are probably going to be the 2 main on-ball options there. And I'm sure Harper will get his minutes, but you have to question how those minutes will be in year 1. I do think, however, year 2 onward even, that Dylan Harper is going to show that he is worthy of investing more minutes, more time, more usage in than at least Stephon Castle could be. I don't think it'll be Fox year 2, but maybe as soon as year 3, he's pushing Fox to be the main dude on ball, obviously, other than Victor Wembanyama when he's doing his thing on the perimeter. So how do I balance that? I kind of look at, okay, let's see where Harper can be, what I think he can grow to. And I think that's being a on-ball offensive hub that you can run actions through and utilize them in some off-ball side action, secondary stuff too, but mainly be that on-ball engine with his ability to get into the paint. He impressed massively at a horrible Rutgers team, getting into the paint and finishing strong, which is it was hugely important skill in the NBA. One of the most, I think, rare things to do is get into the paint without too much additional screening help and create that sort of rim pressure. And Harper can do that. And that means that you can be an on-ball primary option in the NBA with high usage and drive your offense and be the engine of it. And that translates super well to fantasy with points, with assists, with free throws, with efficiency. And in dynasty leagues, which tend to be deeper, I value those points and assists extremely highly. And I think Harper will get there and will get those minutes. You just have to show a little bit of patience early on. Know there are some roadblocks and players that the Spurs like a lot, but I think he's going to show that in time. There's a reason why he was still the clear-cut pick 2 in this draft, and he should be in your dynasty rookie draft. Do not look elsewhere other than Dylan Harper. Just know that you may not get that immediate production, but that's okay. This is dynasty. You should be looking longer than year one.
Yeah, for me, it's always a blend of win now and build for the future, right? Every decision we take into account, are you 31, are you 27, are you 23? Every single decision we make in dynasty leagues, you have to keep age in mind. However, you don't always have to go young. A blended roster is how you win dynasty leagues. And I actually, Mark, think winning dynasty leagues are the easiest leagues to win because 40% or half of the league isn't really in it to win. Okay, so you've already eliminated like half of the league. And so now you're competing with, the upper half of the league. And so, and then prey on those teams, right? Trade them future draft picks, pluck studs off of their roster, build an absolute juggernaut like OKC that can't be beat. That's what I've done in the Cam Dynasty. It's kind of easy, but you got to know how to do it, and then you just go execute the plan. Very similar stuff in football. So many people, young, rookie. And you have to have a blended roster. If you want to just be in build with a young team mode the whole time, cool. Knock yourself out. That's boring as hell for me. I like chips. I like gold balls. I like champagne. I like all that kind of stuff. All right, it is Rick Kamla. It is Mark Camero, our NBA Dynasty lead here at SportsEthos. And Doc is, he's taken I think he's taken a DNP. Today. Everybody loses. Nobody wins. Our little over-under. We're all taking an L today because of the DNP. A very, very controversial DNP for Steve Alexander. All right, rookies that fantasy GMs should ignore, Mark, okay? Rookies that fantasy GMs should ignore. And you can split this in redraft or dynasty, but this is a dynasty episode, so we can keep it there as well. Thomas Sorber, mid-first round pick to OKC. Kasparas Jakučionis, who we already talked about at length. And then Colin Murray Boyles. Talk to me about these guys.
Is this rookies that GM should or should not ignore? Should not ignore?
Yeah, should ignore. I think it says rookies fantasy GMs should not ignore. I screwed up. Ignore. I said that wrong.
Just making sure 2 different things.
I said that wrong. That we should not ignore.
Should not.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So as you said, we talked about Jakučionis and how, yes, he is showing struggles at Summer League. We knew about those coming in. For me, those struggles were already baked into my evaluation. So it's just little footnotes. And as you said, things that he will keep in mind and push through. With Thomas Sorber, as soon as he was selected, I saw some people saying, he's on a stacked OKC team. He's not going to get chances, opportunities. Well, with these extensions, the Thunder are going to have some cap decisions to make next season. Isaiah Hartenstein has a team option for next season. I can guarantee you that, 99% guarantee you that Hartenstein will not be brought back to the Thunder on that $30 million team option. He may re-sign there for less. Maybe he gets it picked up and traded elsewhere, but he will not be playing for the Thunder on that $30 million team option. It's just too much money. That's a clear spot where the Thunder can clean up their books a little bit and stay under the second apron for one more season. Can Thomas Sorber help fill that void? can he get chances and at least show that, hey, yeah, I can do Hartenstein-like stuff. Thomas Sorber impressed me a lot with his passing in college, his reading of the court, his ability to make passes in the short roll, which, hey, we saw Hartenstein add a lot of value with his passing on the Thunder when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was off the court. It would be stupid of me to say Thomas Sorber is going to do that year one, but there are shades of that to his game to be able to add and run actions through in the high post, pass, help get guys open, and not a little bit off the dribble there as a big, where, someone like Khaman Maluach showed very little passing and very little anything off the dribble. Sorber would sometimes take it from the wing and even drive in hard to the paint, add a little bit in post-ups, add a little bit in passing, finding guys. When he got double-teamed in the post, would pass out to the open man on the perimeter. And so I like a lot of what Sorber can do in fitting within that Thunder team. And I haven't even touched on the defensive end, where I think he can be a very stout and trustworthy rim protector, albeit not a dynamic one. You play him in a drop, but if any team is set up defensively to handle a pure drop center, it's the Thunder with those Hawks on the defensive end and the defensive perimeter. So I like how Thomas Sorber is set up, even if you're not going to get those year one minutes. I think he's an excellent draft him pretty high, not extremely high, but decently high. Be okay with those limited minutes and know that year two could be the chance where he really gets that chance to explode. And I still think he's going to get minutes this season, really behind Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. It's just Jalen Williams, who I know they extended. It wasn't a significant extension. It's not one where you're saying, we can't play Thomas Sorber over Jalen Williams. He's making $8 million a year. I mean, I think they'll see what happens. The Thunder have been more than willing to play their dudes. So Sorber's just a player I really like, and I think you can get maybe not enough stuff from him year one, but enough minutes that you'll see the flashes there and be encouraged for him for the long term. Do you think my read on the Thunder situation is fair?
Yes, but I don't. They love Jalen Williams, and I really like Jalen Williams. I think Jalen Williams is one of the best bench players in the NBA. I really do. I've liked him for years, and I don't want to. I'll stop there because I don't want to talk about him like he's a future Hall of Famer. But I really loved what you were saying about Hartenstein because when I saw Holmgren, SGA, J-Dub, and I'm getting the order wrong. It went SGA, Chet, then J-Dub, max. And we're talking about 285 potentially, 250 potentially for Chet. The 285 is if SGA and J-Dub make All-NBA. I would bet a lot of money on them making All-NBA this upcoming season. That's going to be 5 and 285. They're not we know how this goes. Boston won a chip and said, okay, we're good. Now we got to get the books right, okay? And OKC's not going to say we're good, right? Unless they have a guy like Tatum blow a tire, and then they may take a tank year, because I see Boston taking a tank year this year, Mark. I think they're trying to go 20 and 62. I really, really do. I mean, their bigs right now are Kada and fucking Niang, okay? You're not trying to win with that as your...
Luka Garza. I picked up Luka Garza for 100 fab in one Dynasty League, because I'm like, who else is playing center? Let me just get him. But yeah, it's nothing.
It's so typical of Boston too, right? Go get Luka Garza. I'm surprised Utah didn't go get him. But yeah, I love what you said about Hartenstein. I think we are seeing, that one last year, and then boom, it'll be Jalen Williams, maybe Sorber, but they're fortified. They got guys. We know how freaking deep this team is. So I liked everything you said about Sorber long term. I just feel like this year he's going to have a tough time. Every time Jalen Williams starts, he throws a triple-double on the box score. So I just have a hard time believing that Sorber's going to leapfrog him. I've been wrong before. But 95% of what you just said, I'm taking to the bank. Just the Sorber-Jalen thing it has me hung up a little bit. So let's see here. Fantasy rookies, the fantasy GMs should not ignore. Let me see if I can add another one here. You know what? I want to talk about. This guy here. I want to talk about Walter Clayton Jr. I'm not even sure if we have him in the rundown. Quick story here, Mark. My dentist, and I've been seeing him a lot lately, gigantic Florida Gators fan. Every time I'm in there and I'm down and, working on stuff, he is just giving me a dissertation on Florida basketball, okay? So he's been in my ear about Walter Clayton Jr., compared him to Steph. and all that, like loosely, right? Not like he's the next step, but like he gives me vibes of Steph. I can work with that. That's kind of a comp game that I play too. But I've been watching him more critically since my dentist said that. My dentist is really, really, really smart. And I'm like, I do kind of see some Steph in this guy. Like he runs, comes off a screen, his feet are under him, catches, lifts, and hits. Okay? Like quick fire. Like, bro, you got it like that? Logo threes on the pull-up off the dribble. He's got like uber confidence, made a million clutch shots to help Florida win that thing. Already making clutch shots in the summer league. He's already had a 20-point game. Okay? Walter Clayton Jr. came out like a combo guard, but he was Florida's point guard last year. This is where I want to take this, okay? Why wouldn't Utah start Walter Clayton Jr. at the 1, Ace Bailey at the 2, Keontae George is your backup 2. He's more of a 2 than a 1 anyway. Collier, who you just said you love a lot, and was a good point guard for, I don't want to get too crazy, good point guard for Utah last year. But would it be crazy? Look, I think Walter Clayton Jr. brings a lot more to the wood than Isaiah Collier. I think you might have a potential star here with Walter Clayton Jr. I believe you definitely don't have a star with Isaiah Collier. I don't see star there. I just see a solid player there. So okay, I see you cringing. Let's get into this. Talk to me.
You're breaking my heart with the Collier comment. Even though I probably have to admit that it's fair that he's probably not a star with the lack of efficient scoring. And to get to your overall point, why wouldn't Walter Clayton Jr. start? I think if the Jazz are trying to put the most coherent starting lineup from day one, you could argue that he should start. I said this actually on the latest Punt Intended Podcast, my free agency recap part 2, that Walter Clayton Jr. probably enters this team and is the best shooter on the team with that versatility of his shot. And that stood out to me as well. You scout him and he's not taking these in rhythm off dribble pull-up jumpers. He's taking them with either hand going up, kind of asynchronous feet, but it always looks good, always looks clean, goes in at an extremely well rate. I mean, I haven't compared his per 100 or per minute, per possession three-point attempt rates across everyone, but it has to be one of the highest. It was like 13 or 14 three-point attempts per 100, which is an insane rate.
Wow.
And as much as, with the caveat, you don't compare any prospect to Curry because that's just crazy. It's not ludicrously crazy. You get the vibes of, or the shades of, with just him getting that pull-off jumper off quickly, even at the smaller stature, which is worrisome for his finishing inside and defensive side. But his pull-up game is vastly impressive, and the way he gets off his shot is impressive. I think they may want more of that passing element with Collier if you're playing with Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler. But, I think Clayton Jr. has a chance to be their best guard player this season for sure. I don't think that's crazy to say.
And so what they could do is they have a lot of options they could go. Utah, let me go to their depth chart. Utah could start Collier, okay? Start Walter Clayton Jr. at the 2. They could start Ace Bailey at the 3. They could start Markkanen at the 4 and Kessler at the 5. That actually kind of makes some sense. I have Filipowski in my starting lineup for Utah right now at the 4, Mark, but to me, that's not in cement, right? To me, Filipowski and Collier are the pivot guys here. Either Collier starts and then, I'm not going to say Walter Clayton's definitely going to start for Utah this year. I just think he should. And I think they're dumbasses if they don't start him because, for real, Mark, Utah and Brooklyn are by far the worst teams in the league. It's not even close. It's a debate between those two teams, Utah or Brooklyn, who is the worst team in the league. Danny Ainge has lost his way. Once a goat of shot calling, has completely lost his way. And I'm not saying he screwed up. I think he hit on Walter Clayton Jr. and Ace Bailey. But this nonstop tank, you missed. To me, you missed on Cody Williams. To me, you missed on Hendricks. Like you're missing on some guys here, okay? And you're also hitting on some guys. But if you're shitty Utah, who will never get a free agent, you got to hit your picks, man, like OKC did. You've got to hit your picks. And I think this year they did, but in previous years you didn't hit with Keontae George. He hasn't spiked like you thought he would. So let's move on here, Mark, with Summer League players.
There is one more prospect that I don't want managers to forget about, and they may not, and we touched on him a little bit. That is Yohan Berenger out of Minnesota, drafted 17, very raw toolsy prospect, good size though, and he is, the things that you want to see in summer league is the athleticism popping off the screen, the
Good
player
point.
looking maybe too. I don't think he looks too good skill wise, but just athletic wise, he impressed just in the first 4 minutes. I was telling Andre this yesterday. Just watch the first 4 minutes of that Pelicans Wolves game, and you will get pretty much the full story on what Johan Berenger was doing that game. He ate Yves Misi's lunch. Misi was trying to explore the studio space against him, and Berenger is just staying tall, not falling for any of these fakes, and swatting his shot away multiple times. And it was, he tied the summer league record for blocks at 7. And of course, is he going to see a lot of minutes year one? Maybe not. You got Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid, and Julius Randle there. But if they want to have someone who is Rudy Gobert, light in the similar defensive role and structure, Berenger can maybe provide that year one in just 10 to 15 minute spurts. And that could be enough if you're just trying to look for some blocks help in deeper leagues. So don't want to forget him. He is right now the prime example of what you take away from summer league with how the athleticism popped and how he was just really, I think, holding himself well defensively, not even hunting blocks, but putting himself in positions to get highlight reel blocks. That was more impressive. Wasn't these white side blocks where he's jumping for joy left and right. It was good defensive blocks.
Shade thrown to my boy Hassan Whiteside. Once upon a time, for a minute, a big-time fantasy player. Look, man, I loved everything you said right there. Berenger. I said it right? Johan Berenger.
Yeah, Johan Berenger.
Feeling good about this now. I've got him second string on the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, behind Rudy. I've got Naz as the backup 4. And we know that this stuff is not always linear, right? You can play Naz behind 5 and 4, and you cannot play Berenger at all. And I believe that may be how they start the season. But I think this kid is going to work his way, 10, 15 minutes. I don't think he's going to play a lot. But I don't think he's also going to be Luka Garza, where they literally never played Luka Garza. They had him for 2 or 3 years, right? They never played him. There was even, I remember I lost a 30-deep championship because 2 years ago, whatever it was, Gobert was hurt right around that time. And so I had Garza. And of course, in 30 deep, it's a stupid weekly setup where you can't, you put your lineup, you're stuck all week, right? Like awful, terrible, awful. Should be daily. It's so abundantly obvious. People are so freaking lazy. I don't want to do daily. Well, then you should get out of the league. Is how I look at that. So anyway, picked up Garza, ended up starting Gobert, and I think I got 1 game out of him, right? And so lost that week, another championship lost is what it is. But I should have been able to just go with Garza. Oh, Garza's going to get 28 minutes. No, they hated Luka Garza. Okay, that's why they did. That's why he's a Celtic right now. So enough about Luka freaking Garza. All right, summer league players to monitor. I want to hit you with one, and we can go back and forth a little bit here. I'm really intrigued with Derek Queen. I've heard so many varying things about this guy. People think he's going to be overweight and not good. They think he's going to be a bust. Some people love his offensive skill and think that he's like tailor-made to be a quality big in the NBA. So, and he had a good first game against Minnesota, played pretty well. So, Mark, talk to me about Derek Queen, dude. How are you feeling about him?
I mean, I will raise my hand and say I was one of those people who love his offensive skill in college and thought he could really be a, maybe not a all-star level offensive hub, but a strong offensive hub. And with his passing and with his scoring and ability to get to the rim and the balance. Summer League debut, stats look good. A little bit of a mixed bag on tape. Had his handles stripped a lot, lost the ball a lot, which is kind of not exactly the things that those are the bad things that you don't want to see. It's not like the bad things where he's trying these ambitious passes and it's just not getting to the man. It was, oh gosh, Queen can't even handle the ball and drive to the basket without losing it. That was not good to see as someone who really likes Queen. That said, I mean, Pelicans made a interesting investment in him. I'll say there. Well, I've been slamming the Pelicans on some recent podcasts, so I won't go too much there, but they made a pretty big investment in him. I would think they're invested to see how he's going to play and turn out. So at least I think he has security there to work through whatever rookie struggles he has And I think he does have an interesting skill set in fantasy, even with maybe some shooting woes or some defensive warts. I think the Pelicans are going to try to make it work with him. And that does make him one to monitor.
I've got Queen as the backup right now to Misi at 5 on my depth chart. You've got Zion at the 4. By the way, I want to remind you guys watching on Twitter, not every one of our offseason episodes are on Twitter. We really appreciate you guys watching this live. So please subscribe to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast feed, our YouTube channel, obviously Apple and Spotify. Give us a subscription there, and then you will not miss a thing. And also subscribe to the Punt Intended Podcast with Mark Camero, our NBA Dynasty lead here at SportsEthos. All right, so Summer League players to monitor. Let me give you another one here. We need to talk about Khaman Maluach of the Charlotte Hornets. I believe that he's going to be the starting 2 guard for the Charlotte Hornets. Ball's going to play 30 games. But on paper, right? So you've got Ball. You're cringing, but I'm not wrong. So you've got Ball at the 1, you've got Knipple at the 2, Brandon Miller at the 3, Miles Bridges at the 4, and I guess Ryan Kalkbrenner at the 5. So talk to me about that. Both of those guys, do you see Kalkbrenner starting? Do you see Knipple starting? And just talk to me about that.
Start with, I think, the less important situation at center there. I say less important. It's actually probably more important if the Hornets are going to win games. Probably the worst center rotation in the league, with actually Boston. Boston's probably worse, but Charlotte's up there too.
Good point.
Yes, you brought in Mason Plumlee. Congratulations.
He's an OG at this point. He's just that OG,
he's an OG
that's
exactly.
never going to play. He's an OG.
Exactly. I think he might see that to token 15, 20 minutes, and then you just see Kalkbrenner and they try to make it work with Moussa Diabate. So I don't think Kalkbrenner is going to start, but he is going to see, I think, the bulk of the minutes.
You think Diabate is going to start?
Oh, I think they're going to start Plumlee, actually. Which
you think they're going to start? That would be the most Charlotte thing ever to fucking start Mason Plumlee.
I think you'll see those 15, 20 minutes a game.
Wow.
Oh gosh, I forgot what player there's a term for it where you just start the player for the halves and they never play again.
Token?
The Keith Bogans. Yes,
Yeah.
the token starter, or the Keith. One podcast refers to the Keith Bogans. They play 6 minutes in that shit.
Keith Bogans. I love, like Mohamed Gay last year for Atlanta would start and play like 17 minutes. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is he starting? Why is Mohamed Gay starting? It's so dumb.
But I think that's what we'll see from Mason Plumlee, and then you'll see Kalkbrenner get the most minutes at the 5, though. So
gotcha.
We care about the minutes more.
Mm-hmm.
I care a little bit who starts, but more about who's getting the minutes. I think Kalkbrenner will get the majority, and of course that's intriguing from the center spot where you can just gobble up some boards and blocks, help in field goal percentage. And at the 2, I think you will see Knipple starting, pick 4, and I think he slots in well as a player who is going to help the team without the ball in his hands. With the threat of his shot, I think he works well up tempo and in transition with the Hornets definitely want to do with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller there. Then Miles Bridges doesn't add too much spacing. Knipple steps in, adds that spacing element to that starting lineup. And I think will play well in that up-tempo system that I think we've seen LaMelo Ball thrive in the past. I don't know if he's going to necessarily get those playmaking duties or if he's going to show he's worthy of running pick and rolls besides opportunistically. But still, getting those minutes early, that's great to see. And we'll see if that playmaking comes along when LaMelo Ball goes down and needs someone else to absorb those duties. You do have Colin Sexton there. They did bring Trey Mann back, but I would think they're more invested in saying, let's see what Colin Knipple can bring to the table and see what he can do, more than trying to highlight Colin Sexton as a starter or Trey Mann even. I would think the pecking order is LaMelo Ball is obviously starting. Then it's Colin Knipple, Colin Sexton, the 6th man when LaMelo Ball is off the court and leading the charge. And then Trey Mann is just kind of more of a nice-to-have depth piece, but a bit of a luxury for them.
Trey Mann's going to be the guy in March and April that we're all hot on in fantasy because all of these other guys are hurt. They're tanking again, and it's silly season. We're all trying to win chips. And so that's when we break glass and go to Trey Mann. The Charlotte Hornets tried to trade for Dalton Knecht. We know the failed physical, blah, blah, blah. So they have wanted this Kyle Korver-like shooter it's pretty clear. Like they gave us the indication. Boom, 4th pick in the draft. You go and basically take a carbon copy of Dalton Knecht. And so he's going to start. I feel very good about that. And so there will be a little bit of redraft value there. I mean, I see like 12.5 points, 2.5 threes, nothing else. So we're not talking about a huge stat line here. But I think Knipple, I mean, shoot, 12.5 points, 2.5 threes. That would maybe put him like first team all rookie. So there's that. All right. Redraft impact rookies. Can Cooper Flagg be top 100 immediately? Top 50? Me and Tim Woodson, we came up with Cooper Flagg's stat line. I'd be curious to hear your rookie year stat line for Cooper Flagg if you have done that, or maybe off the top of the head if you just want to take a stab at it. But top 50, top 100, where are you at with Flagg? Redraft stuff.
I think stat line, you're looking at over a block and steal per game, probably approaching 2 threes a game. I would say probably middling efficiency. I think when you talk about probably more of an off-ball complementary role, we'll run some reps, but I think they got enough guards in there like D'Angelo Russell, which whatever your thoughts on D'Angelo Russell, we can at least have a decent baseline of running the offense. So I don't think Flagg's going to see a huge amount of on-ball, or not a huge, he won't see a massive amount of on-ball reps and be able to capitalize off-ball and as a finisher, which will help buoy his efficiency. I think you're talking about a player who will get to the line at a pretty good rate, give you some help in free throw percentages, probably give you points in the mid-teens. I think without being force-fed usage or gifted usage on a team trying to win, I think 20 points is probably a little too hard, but mid to upper teams points, even with all the big men there, Flagg is a dynamic rebounder who's going to attack the basket. He'll give you a good amount of boards, maybe 6 to 7. Complementary passing can probably get 3 to 4 assists a game. You're talking about a player chipping in at least average across the board right there. That's pretty much what I said. Mid-teens, 6 to 8 rebounds, handful of assists, decent efficiency across the board, over steal and block. You're at least average across the board. That's usually right around top 50, within top 50, with the chance to be better. That's kind of what I see as a realistic, maybe a bit higher than a baseline, but a realistic outcome. But there's an upside that he is better than that. The higher end outcomes are more likely than the floor falling out unless he gets injured. And so I think top around the 50 is what you expect, but I would expect him probably even to approach top 30 just with the good baseline of stats across the board. I don't think that's crazy or an exaggeration.
Bravo. I love all of it. I think he's going to be the second leading scorer on this team, Mark. That's the upside that you're talking about.
We can see it.
That he might not achieve, but I think he will. Davis will be the number 1. Flagg will be the number 2. Then you've got like D'Lo and Clay, and the centers are going to average 10, 11, whatever that is. PJ Washington's going to be at, 12 off the bench kind of thing. So I think Flagg's going to be the second leading scorer on this team with 7 boards, about 4 assists, 1-1-1 at least. And like you said, the efficiency is not going to be great. That will ascend as he matures and develops as a pro player. But you probably know this by now. If you don't, I literally do not care about percentages. I'm a counting numbers guy. I'm obsessed with block, steals, and threes. To me, in head-to-head, every week your game comes, unless you're slaughtering somebody, your weeks come down to one of those 3 or all 3 of those stats, blocks, threes, and steals, because they're so precious. There's a lot more points, rebounds, and assists out there than there are blocks, steals, and threes. But if you're also a badass in PRA and you're a badass in fantasy gold, then you don't need to sweat the percentages. They all work themselves out. That's been a tried and true formula for me. Many percentage people disagree with me, but it's a cool fundamental debate. All right, let's also talk here about VJ Edgecombe, who has been really noisy and impressive in the Summer League in his brief sample here. But we're talking about redraft impact rookies. I love Edgecombe long-term. Not crazy about him this year, Mark, because I think he's going to come off the Philly bench. Tell me something differently or not.
He may start. I think the lineup configurations in Philly are a little murky just because you got a lot of smaller guards there. I mean, Tyrese Maxey obviously is going to play. I'm assuming Quentin Grimes comes back. It's hard to see where else he'd go at this point besides coming back. And I don't think Philly would agree to trade him anywhere else at this point. does he just start and complement Joel Embiid and Paul George in the lineup when he's healthy? Then you're kind of talking about a lack of size there. I don't think you want to throw a small 3-guard lineup, especially one of those players being a rookie there. Kelly Oubre seems to be the preferred point of attack defender, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's 4 spots spoken for: Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, PG-13, Joel Embiid. And I think Grimes makes more sense there in the lineup, or even McCain if you just want that shooting. Now, I'm not saying Edgecombe won't work in the rotation. He definitely will for that just chaotic element he can add. And, of course, being the number 3 pick, seeing what he can do. But it's going to be a lot of, I think, lineup questions that don't make the cleanest fits in Philly. And I'm not honestly sure how it's going to work out, especially with Doc Rivers predicting his lineups can be more. Sorry, not Doc Rivers, Nick Nurse. Predicting Nick Nurse lineups can be a bit of a chore sometimes. So we'll see what he ends up doing. Edgecombe is going to get minutes. I just don't know if the offensive game is going to be developed enough year one where we should care enough from redraft, unless we're targeting maybe some of those steals and blocks and a little bit of threes. But I think that's all we should expect from him year one from a redraft perspective.
I love it. I agree with every single word you said. I do like Edgecombe long term. All right. This year, everything Mark said is true. It's going to be a tough year for Edgecombe. Unless, look, surprises happen. Could he somehow enter the starting lineup for Quentin Grimes? He could. It's possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. I actually look at him a little bit behind McCain as well. McCain was about 15 PPG. So equity, what you've done, that stuff matters, okay? And a lot of people, Mark, are so quick to move rookies past veteran players on their depth charts. And I used to do this long ago. And through trial and error, you just know this is not how coaches view the construction of their team. A lot of coaches don't like rookies, okay? And that's more of an old school thing than a new school thing, but there are still some coaches with old school sensibilities that don't like playing rookies. It's not that they don't like the guy, they don't trust him, okay? Because they're not seasoned pros yet. That's still a thing. So to think, like, for example, Maluach getting time over Nick Richards, I just don't believe that. I don't. Nick Richards was traded for. He was a starter for Phoenix last year. I would rather see Maluach as the second string center for Phoenix. No doubt. Who would I play? Maluach. But what's the reality? The reality is that a coach is probably going to go with the more veteran guy that has equity with the team. So a lot of people, and Mark, I'm clearly not putting you in this group, but a lot of people miss that element. And football a lot, right? They'll draft a 4th-round running back, and they'll move the 4th-round running back to second string over a guy who's been the second string back for this football team for 4 years. I promise you that's not what the team is thinking. I will die on that hill. And then what do you see? Preseason, the rookies, distant third stringer, it's just coaches, it's all equity. It's a pecking order. The rookies got to earn their stripes, man. Coaches don't just give rookies stuff most of the time. All right. We got to talk about the Brooklyn point guards. Mark, okay, you're chuckling a little bit here. We've got Igor Demine, and we've also got, what's the other kid's name? Where do I have? Nolan Traore. So look, okay, first summer league game, Traore was on the 1. Demine was off the ball. That's not what my bingo card said. What the hell's going on here? Who's going to be the starting PG for Brooklyn this year?
I think it's anyone's best guess. We actually did get a pronunciation guide from Jaeger Yomin, I think is how it said. That's what he said. He said everyone was. He just kind of rolled.
Say it again.
I believe it's Jaeger Yomin, like DYOH-MIN Yomin.
So Igor, I got that part right, but it's not
Igor.
Demine.
I thought it was Jaeger Demon. Apparently, it's Jaeger Yomin. Domin is the pronunciation from himself, what he said in a post-game interview.
I'm so confused.
He said he thought it was you.
Was he nervous?
No,
he mispronounced his own last name. Is that what happened there?
No, he said he thought that Americans actually wouldn't be able to pronounce it as well, so he just kind of rolled with what people were saying. But they corrected it. I heard it on the broadcast in Summer League, and I'm like, I feel like they've been told to say it this way. And then, Jaeger Yomin basically said that. So,
Mark, let me give you. Okay, so I'm at the Orlando Summer League 15 years ago. I don't remember the year, right? Nikola Vucevic is a Summer League guy. This is how long ago. Nikola Vucevic was like what is he, 35, 36? He's a summer league guy, okay? So I'm calling him Vucevic, not Vucevic. Joel Glass, the PR guy with the Orlando Magic, who I'm good friends with to this day, comes over and he has just a little like cutout piece of, photocopy paper, and he writes on it Vucevic, and just put that right in front of where all my notes were and stuff like that. And I looked over at him and pointed at him. I've called him Vucevic ever since, and people still call Nikola Vucevic Vucevic. That mistake still happens. Okay,
I actually didn't know that. I will now call him Vucevic, not Vuce. I've been calling him Nikola Vucevic. It's Vucevic.
There you go.
All right,
and I'm trust me, not trying to sink your battleship here, but to your point, I have been in that position where a producer will go, no, it's blank, not blank, or a PR person will come over because they're watching the broadcast. And so I never detected anybody was mad about it, but it was like, we got to get this right, and I want to get it right. We're NBA TV. We're in China, the Philippines, Germany, Africa, United States, South America. We got to get this right? So to your point, somebody probably did pass a little sheet to the play-by-play guy or girl. It is like, no, it's this. That actually happens live while the game is going on. That actually happens.
Yeah, I was like, they probably know something I don't. So I was like, I'm going to now go there. But with the Nets, they drafted 5 first-round rookies, which was unprecedented. And I think it's clear that they're just going to see what sticks, who pans out, and go forward from there. They are still missing the quote-unquote proverbial guy to build around there. And it took a lot of stabs on it with a lot of on-ball guys. Jaeger Doman, playmaking forward. Nolan Traore, quick bursty guard out of France. Ben Seraph, played out of Germany this past week. The Israeli, again, more of a playmaking forward, or more of a burlier forward guy who can pass. Danny Wolf, even the older but more hub at Michigan, playing out of the high posts, really operating at more of a guard for them, leading the offense there. They drafted a lot of guys who can add passing elements, and I think they're just going to throw stuff on the wall and see what sticks. I say that phrase is meant sometimes more negatively. I mean that in a positive way, where they're just going to say, here's our guys that we think are talented and maybe we can build around in the future. Let's see what happens. I actually like Nolan Traore a lot, I think, to provide a lot of that more classic point guard value. Jaeger Doman, though, of course, is going to get his chances being the 8th overall pick. And I mean, what point guard do they have on this roster right now? Cam Thomas technically isn't signed, but you could argue he's not even a point guard. He's more of just a scoring guard.
Not at all.
So someone's got to pass. Someone's got to step up. Or maybe no one has to step up. But I think we're going to, find around and find out and see who sticks around here or who doesn't. And we're going to see who ends up showing the most potential. And I think we're going to see a lot of minutes for them, or a lot of minutes from these rookies. I spoke about it on one of my recent pods where, the Nets, you got Claxton. Sure, he'll see some minutes. You got now Michael Porter Jr. Sure, he'll see some minutes. Cam Thomas. Sure, he'll see some minutes. And then who's the other, even veterans that are notable names? Zaire Williams, Aaron Sharp. I mean, sure has fringe rotation guys, but the Nets should be excited to see what you got in them. I think they're capable rotation players. That's it. And then you got no other names there. There's where your rookies come in, get those minutes, and just see what happens. I can't sit here and tell you that they're going to be redraft relevant, only because I don't know if they're going to be talented enough for that. But can you get those counting stats potentially from Jaeger Doman and Nolan Traore and maybe Ben Seraph and Danny Wolf and maybe even Drake Powell if he sees minutes? There's definitely opportunity there for someone on the Nets to step up. It could be no one, but there's opportunity for someone.
I mean, I don't know who's going to start. I presume it's the guy with the 8 by his name, Igor Doman. It could be Traore, though. Bottom line, I see a timeshare there. I think it's a mishmash. I still think it's going to be a split-time deal. Starting is going to matter for these guys, but for us, like you said, it's about minutes, and I think both are going to play similar minutes as rookies. The Nets have tipped their hand here. You've got all these veteran point guards still available. Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Malcolm Brogdon. They're not moving on any of them. When, if you were trying to win, you would go get one of those guys, and then these guys are bench players getting in where they fit, and it looks like they're just going to put these guys fully up to bat. All right, last little ditty here. Mark, and I'm going to make this quick and get it over to you quickly. All right, final word here. One dynasty nugget and one redraft tip. I'm going to give you two. My favorite, dynasty stash. Okay, so my one dynasty nugget, it's Walter Clayton Jr. The more I watch him, the more I hear about him, the more I like it, and I'm starting to see like this guy could. I'm not making any bets, any hot takey proclamations. All I'm saying is I believe he's got a chance to be a big time player. And I don't see a lot of those in this draft. So, and you're going to get him kind of late because we don't really know. Is he a point? Is he a shooting guard, bench, starter? Like there's a ton of questions about him right now. Go get him. Okay. I'm into him. And then Ace Bailey in redraft. I think Ace Bailey's going to have good redraft value. Utah, I think they're going to start him. He's more likely to start for me than Walter Clayton Jr. I think they should start them both as we've talked about, but Bailey can play multiple positions. He's long. He could play anywhere from 4 to 2. And so I think in Utah's, they got to play him. 5th overall pick, you're going to be taking again. So I think there's a pretty decent redraft value with Ace Bailey coming up here. So give us a dynasty nugget and then just one last redraft tip.
So dynasty nugget as someone to stash and then redraft trip with rookies. Okay. Tough. Someone to stash. I almost want to go off the wall and say Jan Hansen, just because Portland made that shocking selection. And let's see what happens.
Do you like him?
They got DeAndre Ayton off the roster. I was not a fan of his pre-draft. I say not a fan. I had him like early second round. I bumped him up though. This is the one of the few instances where draft capital will affect my dynasty rankings where I did move him up. And you know what? There's opportunity at backup center to see what happens. His pick value has gone inflated by now just because of the draft capital, because I put up some interesting production in the CBA and the Chinese Basketball Association, but maybe something happens there. Maybe he develops into Sengun Light on ball center light sort of deal. It's not crazy. It's not outside the realm of possibility. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible if you're looking for just this later sleeper in your rookie drafts. Someone interesting for redraft, Trey Johnson out of Washington. For similar reasons that Ace Bailey has ample opportunity in Utah, I think it's even more so for Trey Johnson in Washington. Yes, you got some older veterans like Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart there. You really think they're playing a lot of minutes in games? No. Am I worried about Bub Carrington being the main guy there? He had flashes his rookie season. I like him well enough. Not more than Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson has a lot more juice and wiggle and shake to his game and shot making. And so if Trey Johnson can expand upon his shot making ways and expand that into playmaking, you got a player who's going to put up those PRAs, as you say, that you love for fantasy because of the opportunity in Washington, because they, like the Brooklyn Nets, are looking for a guy to build around, and Trey Johnson could prove quickly that he could be that guy. So if you just want maybe points, threes, and then chances at assist, Trey Johnson could be your rookie for that.
I love everything you're saying. I don't yet know the direction of Washington here. You have Middleton, you have CJ McCollum, you have Marcus Smart. Kind of seems, you started Middleton last year in the middle of a tank. You were starting Chris Middleton. You were playing Smart 20 to 24 minutes in the middle of the end of the season of a tank. Okay. I have no other recourse, but you just traded for CJ McCollum, who's 100 years old. I have no other recourse but to believe they're going to play these guys. Now, are they going to play them all year? Or are they going to try to be good? Okay, we still suck. Okay, now we're trading these guys or buying these guys out. Boom, it's Keyshawn George time. It's Trey Johnson time. I don't know which direction Washington's going to go here. I actually think that they could be plucky and PIT-ish if they wanted to be with those guys. And we like a lot of their young guys. Alex Sarr, love him. Keyshawn George, love him. I like Bub Carrington, don't love him. I'm a Trey Johnson guy, but I'm having a hard time seeing the pathway here. You've still got Corey Kispert there. And he's paid. So you've got all these wings on Washington, and Trey Johnson, 6th overall pick, a lot of draft capital. I don't know the direction of the team. So I'm in the mud on that one. I'm out in the weeds on that one. like Trey Johnson, I'm having a hard time seeing the path to playing time on paper right now. Mark, we have come to the end of this bombastic, dynastic episode here. Plug anything you want, articles, podcasts, who you're dating, your weekend plans, plug and tout, whatever you want right now, man.
I'm not dating anyone. I'm happily married. So that's something I am very happy there. In terms of basketball content, though, I have the Punt Intended Podcast, referenced it a couple times. We've had some NBA draft recaps talking about all the rookies and the opportunities and how they're going to fit in teams. We're in the middle of our free agency recap series now. Part 3 will drop on Monday. And then episodes of the Punt Intended Podcast, Dynasty-focused fantasy basketball, come out every Monday. On the written side, contributing to our SportsEthos Summer League notebook with notes on pretty much every relevant rookie drafted, every relevant second and third year player on NBA rosters. More eye tests and stats. Those will be on the blurb feed there at SportsEthos. I'm currently in the middle of updating my full top 350 dynasty rankings. Probably end of the month, beginning of next month, those will be released. But to keep you occupied, I do have my top 70 dynasty rookie rankings, complete with tiers, some notes, projected timelines, so you can get an idea of these player maybe more of a stash, more of a, hey, this player could contribute now, but maybe I'm not as sold as long-term. Later in this month, I'll have kind of rotation battles to watch in that matter for Dynasty. Spoiler alert, the Brooklyn Nets will probably feature in that piece as which of these rookies is going to pan out and how we should view these minutes early in the season and why we should care about watching these teams. So a lot of stuff coming out basically on various podcasts, various writings, various blurb feeds. You'll be able to see all of it at sportsethos.com.
Wait, there is no question that we have the best fantasy basketball content on earth. There's no question. You've got the GOATs up here, me, Doc, and Brew. You've got Mark Camero. Bro, you are a beast. And I'm not even going to say a dynasty beast. You're just a beast, okay? Tim Woodson, beast. William Harris, beast, okay? Bro, you don't need to go anywhere else. And I'm talking to you out there in podcast land, sportsethos.com. All of our work is out there. I mean, I'm doing college football fantasy stuff, Mark. I've got a WNBA show, right? Like, we cover this like nobody else is. Mark, you the man. Have an awesome weekend. Keep up the great work. We'll be potting again very, very soon. And how did it feel sitting in Doc's chair today? How did it feel taking over for the Hall of Famer today? And you know, how'd that feel? Did I get you enough shots today? Did I get you in the sweet spot here, right in the pocket, so you can go right up with it?
Yeah. I think I got enough shots. I can be the Kyrie Irving, Robert Horry, whoever that player is there that you want to insert there.
The Robert Horry, 7 rings, 3 different teams, only got to do that. And I believe there should be a spot for Robert in the Hall of Fame, and so does he. All right, for Mark Camero, for the great Andre Lemus, who, as we speak, is trying to trade LaMelo Ball, and I can't wait to see the results of this. I currently am trying to pull off a big trade in the Cam Dynasty as well. We will give you reports on this. No Shams bombs, but we might get a Dre bomb about that. Big thanks to all of you guys for watching. We love you out there. We will be back next week, me and Doc, with some new episodes, and we'll be letting you know on Twitter when and where that stuff's coming out. Monday, we'll be on with those. And so that's it, man. This episode's been brought to you by Bet Online. We appreciate you all. We love you all, and we'll see you soon.